All right, good evening. Welcome to Black Women and Nutrition. My name is Robin, certified nutrition specialist. This is our third year with this particular topic, and I'm immensely passionate about it because I am a Black woman and my mom is Black, and it's just a topic. And I want you all to know, before I even say just really who I am and a little bit about my journey, but I want you all to hear me when I say this from the bottom of my heart, that food and nutrition can really transform your life. I know it's not easy to make shifts, to make those changes, but it really is. Food will either kill you or keep you alive. And the illnesses and diseases we face are due in part to what you put in your mouth and what you don't put in your mouth. As I said to you, my name is Robin. I am a nutritionist, but I wasn't always a nutritionist. Prior to that, I was pre-diabetic, I was overweight, and I had a little bit of a clue about feeding my body. And when I became a nutritionist and I did a career shift, I actually was confused as to how I got here, meaning why was this my lot? But I heard, I would say God spoke to me and said, this is where I want you to be. And I've wrestled with it, but it's been 15 years. And what I know now, from 15 years ago till now, we are not better. When I started this, there wasn't as much cancer, there wasn't as much autoimmune, there wasn't as much diabetes. Somebody is profiting heavily from our lack of knowledge and our actions, and it ain't us. So once you become a customer, and that there's no shade to anybody, I'm just telling you, once you become a customer, once you are on certain medications, whoever is giving you that medication wants you as their customer. And the message that we are sharing with you and sharing with you from the heart is because we know what we know and we want you to hear. Not all of you are going to some of you are going to hear it and you're like, I'm not ready for that, right? But it's our mission and our duty to share. Most of the illnesses and diseases that we come across are because of what we put in our mouths or what we don't put in our mouths. So let's get into this conversation. Again, this is Black Women and Nutrition. I want to introduce you to Hyvel. Hyvel, where are you? And Hyvel, you're in Florida, right?
Yes, I am.
So Hyvel and I, we spent some time on the phone the other day, and I was telling her I was fighting back the tears. So Hyvel is 50, you're 53 now?
Yes.
And when you were 41, you had a stroke and a heart attack. Is that?
Yes, okay. And a quadruple bypass, yeah.
And a quadruple bypass. Now, prior to the stroke and the heart attack, what were your eating habits like?
They were really bad. It was really, I was in school, I was a mother, and it was basically fast food, come home, get something on the pot or whatever, or Burger King, McDonald's, fast food. And that was our lifestyle for a while because I was in school. Like I said, I was a mother and I, worked a lot. And therefore, nutrition didn't even play a role. I talked about in reference to my vegetable of choice. It was corn. That was it, canned corn. And the only thing I ate is fruit with strawberries. And that was it.
Me too. That was it. I was like vegetable. I would eat out of a can. I just didn't know. So when you had the quadruple bypass, heart attack, and a stroke, did you relate it to the lifestyle you were living before or not?
It had a role to play in it. After I went through everything in 2014, it was I was still alive, thank God. Mm-hmm. And you come to that place where life just, for me, it stood still. Mm-hmm. And I had to assess everything. I could have said that, my mom had high blood pressure. She has diabetes. My father went blind because of diabetes. But ultimately, I knew I had family history, something that we never talked about in our family. But it was imperative for me to really assess what I was doing because I was culpable. I went to the stores, I bought the food into my house. Therefore, I had to really just look at everything, because everything I was doing up to that point was not working. I was on 25 different medications, and I knew that was not a life I wanted to live.
When and you said this, when you were taking the medication, and a lot of times we feel this way, we're taking the medication and then we say, okay, I'm taking the medication, therefore I can eat whatever, I can do whatever because this medication is gonna save me.
Yes.
That was your perspective too?
I get so mad at people, especially doctors, when they say coverage, that insulin is coverage. And people take that to heart. Is okay, because I can eat anything now and I have coverage because I can take my insulin or I can take my diabetic medication. And that's not true. It's really a sad thing. But I thought because I was taking my medication, I had coverage. Therefore, I could eat whatever because I had the insulin there. And that was crazy that I thought of it that way, but it made sense to me because it wasn't really explained to me as far as what I needed to do and what I needed to change in my life.
So when did you, I guess, well, I'll say the light bulb come on? So you had the stroke, you had the heart attack, the bypass, and you were taking the medication. When did you say, okay, wait a minute, I can control this narrative with what I'm eating? When did that click for you?
It took a while, Robin, to tell you the truth. After the open heart surgery, I had a quadruple bypass. And I had to have 3 revision surgeries because 2 of the native grafts failed. And so for the time from 2014 to 2016, I was basically in the hospital every month. Every test I took was back in the hospital, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, this is not going to work. I was preparing for my funeral. I was preparing to die, basically. But I knew I was not in control. But I knew if I took my medication and I looked at my lifestyle as changes I could make. And I went to, I talked about the story, how I was just surviving, making my funeral plans. And my friend invited me over to Michelle's Fletcher house. And it was a simple concept. She was talking about fruits and vegetables. And I'm like, wait a second. This is something I can try. Because at that point, I would have tried anything. And money was not an option. It wasn't. I wanted to get back to a sense of what I lost. Therefore, I was willing to do anything to get back to where I was. So I tried a lot of stuff.
So all of y'all that are listening, you're going to hear a theme come up here, and you're going to hear us talking about fruits and vegetables and produce. And I put this disclaimer: we're not trying to make you vegan or plant-based and tell you we're not telling you what not to eat. We're telling you what we know, that if you put more of this in your body, it can be transformational. So you went over someone's house and they were talking about plants and fruits and vegetables, and that made sense to you. And then you started consuming more produce, and you grow produce. All of us grow it, but we also take produce encapsulated. Now that sounds crazy at first. When I heard about it, you didn't think it was crazy. You think, maybe I'll try this. I was like, that's crazy. What can they come up with next? But you take produce, so fruits and vegetables, you grow it, but you also take it and encapsulate it. What have you noticed in your body from starting to flood your body with more produce till now? What happened?
I'm a completely different person. Mind, body, soul, and spirit. I started taking accountability, gaining confidence. I started walking. I started doing stuff for me. I grew, I have sisterhood. I found a community. I found hope. And it's something that's simple that I didn't, I couldn't fathom prior to, because I was like lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know about glucose. I didn't know about carbohydrate. And I wanted to know, but I had no clue. Therefore, I decided to lock arms with people I knew or saw that was doing it. And I'm like, I have to be in the room, because I made it my point to learn about diabetes, because that was the first thing that was a stumbling block. I didn't know how to eat, and I can say that out loud. I ate rib sandwiches, I drank soda, and it's so terrible because when you're diabetic, you're always thirsty, right? And then I would guzzle down the soda thinking it's gonna help me. And it was the worst thing I was doing to myself because I would then have incontinence issue, frequent urination. So I figured out if I can control or somewhat gain hold of diabetes and understand that carbohydrates and what I put into my body and work with my body, I will have a fighting chance.
And so you said, because I wrote this down, that your cholesterol went down.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you said that your cholesterol, your stamina,
yes.
And you said it is a new you, that just by flooding your body with produce,
yes.
Like it seems so simple but complex, like more produce that you didn't eat before. Val, we're gonna come back and see you. I'm gonna bring in some others, but thank you so much. And I didn't cry, so thank you for that. But the fact that you had those episodes and you, like most of us, didn't understand the power of nutrients. Now, Jamarr, are you in it? Where are you at? Georgia?
I'm in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, in Georgia. Now you are a healthcare practitioner, so you're a nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your patients came to you with a handful of produce, like fruits and vegetables in this capsule, and said, what do you think about this? Now, you as a healthcare professional, what did you say to them? How was that conversation?
This is so funny. My patients will probably laugh. I said, well, I don't know how that's going to affect my medication, so I don't know if you could take that.
Yeah, that's
exactly what I said. And I left it at that.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I tell people about taking more produce or having it in capsules, they say, well, let me check with my doctor. And there are some medications that conflict with like grapefruit or, some blood. That is true. Right. But really, fruits and vegetables, because that's what we're talking about, is like not going out of style. And most of the time you'll say as a practitioner, change your diet. Now you started to do a little bit of research about this fruits and vegetables in this capsule. And what did you find?
Well, this is how it started. He brought me a sheet the next day because I didn't know if he could take it with this medication. He brought me a sheet that showed me all of the fruits and vegetables that was listed in it. After I saw that, I said, okay, you could take it. But every 6 months, I would forget about about the plant powders. I would just forget about it. And then about the fourth year, I looked it up again. And that's when I saw the medical research. The research journal that caught my attention was the Medical Journal of Cardiology. That particular journal was what attracted my attention to it. And ever since that point, from 4 years all the way up into the current of 2021, I always would ask the person, are you still taking your plant powders? And they would smile as they would come in the room.
And what's interesting, I can relate to so many of your stories because you're like, oh, this is good. You need this, but I don't, right? Y'all need this because I eat well, right? I have enough produce. And so you didn't think that you would benefit because by taking, now, why did you think that you did not need more produce?
Oh, because I don't want to be a patient. So therefore, if I tell my patients not to do something, I'm not going to do it. So I was eating everything that I should eat, my fruits, my vegetables, exercise and water, doing everything literally that I tell them to do. So I told them I didn't need that.
Same thing with me. I was like, I'm a nutritionist. I don't need this. But what both of us found out is that the produce that we get in the stores is, and y'all will know this if y'all see tomatoes, they're shiny, they're all these things, they've been transported here and there, and they're leaching nutrients. So when we eat them, we are not getting the nutrition that we think that we're getting. And then when we're eating them, we're eating the ones we like, right? So like how many different, were you eating a lot of variety or just like the ones, were you eating a lot of?
I was eating for variety. We eat salad every day for lunch. We eat it for dinner. I'm eating a vegetable for maybe 2 vegetables. We'll literally have greens and a salad. And then we have a meat for dinner. And then we'll have for dessert, we may have some type of fruit.
Okay, so
For lunchtime,
you were getting it in.
I was getting it. I promise you I was getting it because I was not going to be that patient.
So then when you decided, so this is when you knew, because as a mom, we're like, I don't need this. I eat well. And then someone said, but your kid could get this for free. We're like, okay, I know my kid needs it. I don't need it, right?
Mhm.
But what happened was, so tell us what happened. Your son got the produce for free, because that's
Right.
when you, as an adult, when you get it, your kid gets it for free. But you started taking it. What happened to you? Now you and I are too cool for school. We don't need it. We eat well. What did you
Exactly.
do? What
Oh
happened?
my gosh. I could not believe it. Probably about that third week when I go into work, we're going through the back door. When I was going into work, it looked like everyone was in slow motion and I was moving, but everyone else was moving in slow motion. That was the very first thing I noticed. It wasn't too big of a deal, but I just noticed that. Then that Friday, probably about that third Friday or so, I normally get into bed at 7:30 p.m. And with the Hallmark channel on 8:30, I'm asleep. My normal routine for about 5 years. My mother called me and she just wanted to tell me a brief topic or discuss something very briefly. After she discussed that, she was ready to get off the phone because she thought I was going to sleep. And I said, oh no, I'm ready to talk. The following Friday, I was in the living room with my family. They're on after. I was not tired. I go to bed because it's time to go to bed, not because I'm tired and fatigued and it's to go to bed.
Now
And
you said, oh, I cut you. I'm sorry. You said
it's so much more.
PMS. You talking about your PMS symptoms.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what else? You tell us. I'm gonna be quiet. Tell us all that you know.
So another thing I noticed too, on one Friday, it had to be October, the first federal holiday in October. Normally I go to work just to close a couple of charts and I'm leaving. I went in with 1 bottle of water, a little small snack bag of grapes. The computer system was down and running very slowly. I ended up staying 8 hours. That day, I didn't get enough sleep. The day before, going into the day to go to work, didn't have enough to eat, didn't have enough to drink. The following day, we went for a competition in Upper Georgia, in the middle of the woods. I went to the bathroom and there was a surprise for me. I didn't have any PMS symptoms. I didn't have a migraine. Normally in that type of setting, if I don't get that triad, I'm going to have a migraine. My back was not hurting. I didn't have the cramps that I normally have. So I didn't have any of that. And I haven't had any of that since I've included the plant powders in my diet. And the migraine, I haven't had a migraine since February 2021.
And those that are listening are saying, wait, just from eating more fruits and vegetables? Yes, y'all, because we're taking it in a, like, imagine taking 30 different raw fruits and vegetables, putting it in a grinder, the pits, the peel, and the seed, and it's ripe through and through, getting that in your body every single day. What happens with your body? Jamarr, and I know the time is like going by so fast, but we grow produce and we take it, but where's your tower? Is it back there?
It is right here. So excuse one portion because my son actually was making a salad and I have the salad. I told him, don't eat the salad yet. So he started to harvest. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can.
So this is the chart. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the chart. That's the part. This is rosemary. I'm sorry, he said this is chard. What is this? Oh, that's.
And I think where you're we can't hear you as much when you go over there.
Red crisp.
Okay, I can hear you.
This is arugula. What is that? This is spring mix. This is his tower garden. He's telling me what's on it. And this the stevia, that right here. This is the dill. We have spinach at the bottom down.
Wow. All right.
Romaine is on the other side.
And you're growing it inside, right? Inside.
inside.
So
And here,
we're able to grow inside and outside depending on the climate. So you being in Georgia right now, well, it's summer now, but anyways, you grow indoors.
yes,
So hang around, Jamarr. I know it's like it goes by so fast, and there's so
it
much.
does
And I know, because we could just talk all the
forever.
time. But the point is, both you and I thought we were just fruit and veggie we didn't need anymore, and both of us were shocked to know what happened in our bodies, and we ate well, we thought we did. All right, Andreza,
Hey,
so what state are you in?
I'm in Texas.
You're in Texas. Let's see where you are. Okay, there you are. Now I'm highlighting the fact that you're in your 30s. You're considered a millennial, right?
Yes.
A millennial. And also, like, it's like, okay, I eat well. I don't need, I'm good, right? I don't need any more produce, but you have babies.
Yes.
And you thought, well, shoot, my babies can use this. So
Mhm.
share with us what made you say, I'm going to start growing this produce I'm going to grow produce, and I'm also going to take this produce in a capsule.
Yeah. So I took an intro to nutrition class senior year of college. It was just supposed to be an elective. And in that class, I learned that so many of the illnesses that my aunts, grandparents had said, oh, when you hit this age, you're going to get this and you're going to get that. And it was always a joke, right? But it's like, I knew everybody was taking medication, had a great aunt who died from breast cancer. And so it was like, these were the things that were happening in my family. But after that class, I learned, wait a minute, I actually have more control over the trajectory of my health. So that was senior year of college. And the first year of marriage, I was working at an organic farm. And the trade-off was work for food. So I would help them harvest, plant, and do all the things. And then I would take organic produce home. And I was juicing, I was doing all the things. And a friend approached me about the plant powders. And she was like, I see that you're trying to eat healthier. This is something that could really help you and your husband. And my first response was like, no, thank you, Michelle. I think I'm okay. I'm good. And like you said, I didn't know what I didn't know. And she asked me one more time, she's like, why don't you just try it for 4 months? And then if you don't like it, then, no harm, no foul. So we tried it for 4 months. And I had already graduated, but my husband was still in college. And so I sponsored him so that he could get his for free. And so we tried it for those 4 months. And over those 4 months, I learned that there are so many families whose kids had taken the plant powders and the benefits of their kids' health and the things that they were experiencing. And so then I started thinking ahead. I was like, okay, well, we're talking about having kids. I know I was a picky kid. We have illness in my family. We have illnesses in your family. And all of a sudden I went from, I'll try it for 4 months. And then, if I don't like it, I'll be done. I went from that to, it's been 7 years now, over 7 years now of us all taking it.
And your babies, you said they've not been sick.
No, they do not have sick visits. In fact, we've missed a lot of play dates because we have friends whose kids are sick often, and they'll even say, oh, weren't they sick last week? And it's like, yes, they were. We missed that play date, and we're missing this week because we're sick, because they're sick. That's just kind of a theme. And so that's kind of helped us have a conversation with our kids too about the importance of fueling your body and the effects of that.
Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think just those that are listening, just keep on listening. We have Brunetta, Pastor Brunetta, that's we're gonna finish with, and then if y'all have some questions, we'll open that up to you. And I'll reiterate: we grow produce, we grow it. All of us are growing it, but then we also that produce. We are not encapsulating it. There's a company that encapsulates the produce. So we can either grow it, and we do, but we also take it and encapsulate it because it's in that powerful concentrated form. And so Pastor Brunetta, I want to bring you, now we have all of 5 minutes, right? But there's so much that I want to say to you. So we're going to see how we can make this work. Now, Pastor Brunetta, you have a story, and your story I'm gonna just say it used to be 400 pounds. That's a part of the story.
Yes.
And so, and I say that because I want people to list, because, you know, I think when people see a person after their transformation, they think that life was easy for them or things were easy for them.
Yeah.
But what was the turning point before we even get to talking about the produce, but what was the turning point for you to say, I'm gonna do something different?
Oh my gosh. My body stopped working. You know, I was literally at the place where I couldn't walk the distance from, you know, the house on the corner to the corner. So out of the porch to the corner. And I couldn't fit in a car anymore. My seatbelt wouldn't buckle. So that was it. I was like, okay, I got to do something. I was in pain all the time, my limbs.
But and it wasn't like you tried to not be 400 pounds one time and then you just succeeded.
Oh my,
I mean,
no, no. I mean, I spent years overweight. I was, you know, I was on my first diet. I was 8.
okay. Oh,
I
wow.
gained weight over the summer after something traumatic, and I used food. Food was my drug of choice,
Nice.
and that was, you know, food was how I coped. And yeah, I remember my first diet. I was 8.
Now and then we're going to talk about, then I'm going to talk to Pastor Brunetta in a second. But what I want to say to you is that what has nutrition done for you, right? So you were 400 pounds, and I know you weren't eating all fruits and vegetables at that time. And so now,
Exactly.
yeah. And so now that you've discovered how powerful produce specifically, what has that done? What have you noticed specifically? I'm going to ask you this specifically, then I'm going to talk to Pastor Brunetta for a second, because I want to talk to just a civilian Brunetta for a minute.
Yeah.
So you, at one point, you weren't taking these fruits and vegetables in capsules, you weren't growing your produce. And then I said to you, maybe you should take this. And like most people, they're like, kick rocks, we ain't doing it. Why did you decide to take me on, and what did you notice?
Well, you know, Robin, we met at a time when, you know, my life had totally changed. I had, you know, lost and kept off 200 pounds. And had completely changed my diet. But of course, along the way, you know, I've done every diet at least twice, right? So when you presented these plant powders in a capsule form, I was just like, girl, please. I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. And then in my journey, I ended up, my doctor said to me, you know what, your white blood cell count has dropped now for the 3rd time. So the first time he didn't say anything, the second time he didn't say anything, but now it's the 3rd time he's saying, you know, maybe I should mention that your white blood cell count is low, and that puts you at risk for, you know, issues, and you need to do something about that immediately. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I panicked. And, you know, his solution, I said, well, what do I need to do? He said, you've got to eat more green leafy vegetables. And I started laughing, because at this point I had already switched over to becoming a vegan, and I don't preach being a vegan. That's just what I found worked best for my body. And I said, oh my God, I can't do it. I can't eat another vegetable. I mean, if you ask, I can't chew that much. I'm done. But eventually I said, oh my gosh, that lady, she talked about these veggies in capsule form and gummies. I was like, okay, I got to find her. And when I did, I just jumped in. And I'll be honest, I cheated. As soon as I got the box, I ripped it open and I took a dose that night. And then I took twice a day for the next 20 some odd days. And by the time I got back to the doctor, my blood work proved that this stuff was in my blood. I mean, my white blood cell count, and the nurse people will know, I went from a 2.4 all the way up to a 2.9. I mean, I almost went into the 3 mark. And those of you that know that's huge. My doctor was like, what did you do? What did you do? So he confirmed that whatever that, you need to keep doing that. And I have done so ever since then.
Now, before I talk to Pastor Brunetta, I'm going to say this to all of you, because we're going to talk to Pastor Brunetta in a second, but all of you that are listening, I want you to, whoever invited you here, contact them so you can figure out how to get this produce in your body. Because if you listen to all of us except Hyvel was like, oh, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
Yeah. She was willing, but she was super sick though. And oh my God,
she already had an event that promoted a transformation. But the rest of us, we were like, you know, Jamarr was like, I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm good. I'm like, I'm a nutritionist. I'm good. All of us. And this produce has been transformational.
Yes.
It's been transformed. It's produce. It is fruits and vegetables for real. It is. And those of you that are listening, I'm telling you to contact the person that invited you here and figure out how you can get this produce into your body at least for 4 months so that you can see what's happening. I'm not going to turn off the recording just yet because I want to talk to Pastor Brunetta because we have this conversation.
Yeah.
So she's a Pastor Brunetta. She's a God girl, right? In the church. God girl, and I always ask her, we talk about this because I always ask this question. So I'm thinking, okay, our temple, we go to church and we, you know, hear the word, and afterwards we have, you know, we go eat the traditional foods, and maybe the people are sick and shut in and we're praying about it. But when does, and I'm saying this and then I'm gonna ask you this question, it's like, is there a disconnect between the God and the body that we've been given, right? So in church, that's where we are. In your opinion, is there a disconnect between what we're putting in our body and what God gave us and what the temple we're supposed to honor?
Oh my goodness. Oh, absolutely. There's a disconnect. And I'm the first guilty party because I've been in the church for a long time, but in the church, 400 pounds. And no one said anything to me in the church. You know, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't sex. So you ain't gonna touch my fried chicken. Get back, right? And even though we preach the fact that our body is the temple, that doesn't mean we can't have donuts and coffee after the meeting. So there is a disconnect. And one of the things that I do talk to people about, because I think my husband said it best, we were at a funeral and he said, why are you feeding me the food that killed the guy in there? Why the sick and shut in? Why are you bringing me the stuff that has killed the other people? Why are you feeding that to me? And God made fruits, vegetables, and berries. Okay, I always tell people, just think about Adam. Adam never had a soda. Adam and Eve, they never had a soda. They never had French fries. They never had a can of green beans. If we eat like they did, we can live as long as they did. We have the same body. And when we start to think about it, and I will say, as healthy as I thought I was, once I started taking those plant powders, and I do today, and I do grow. I almost brought my little tomato in. I got a big old fat red tomato today. But my eyes, my doctor told my ophthalmologist says, oh my God, your astigmatism is gone. Okay. My dentist said, oh my God, your gums are just amazing. What have you been doing? I'm like, my blood pressure has been managed, my energy levels, and I've been able to, better than ever before, manage my weight. And so all of these things and more, 33 raw fruits, vegetables, and berries in your hand every day. You cannot deny you need that. And you also know you can't eat that.
Yeah.
So when people say to me, oh, let me check with my doctor about taking those fruits and berries, and I say, of course, as soon as you ask your doctor about driving through McDonald's.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also let's talk to God about the one body you have. You only get one. There are a few spare parts, but they're all used. And maybe you just like to see your body be well. Your health, and I said it in the chat, is it's invaluable. It's the most valuable asset ever. And thank God for plant powders in my hands.
I feel like too, by honoring my body with certain foods, that I'm honoring what God has given me. I really do feel like that. I feel like
Absolutely.
I'm asking so much of my body, but I'm also speaking to God and asking so much from him. And I feel like, okay, but I have to, when we talk about being submissive to God, and I think too, part of that is honoring what God has given us, and honoring that temple. And I always just say, I ask you this all the time. I said, do people not think of it this way? And people call me unchurched because I'm not in the church. I'm unchurched as they call me. But I'm like, am I the only? Why don't we think of it that way?
But can I say something hard? And I don't mean to be hard, but what right do we have to keep asking him to work a miracle when we won't do our part and just change our plate?
Okay.
At that point, and I've had pastors call me and say, can you just come and teach? Because I pray for them and they get healed, but they leave the altar and they go and get themselves sick again. They go do the same thing.
Because we pray. I pray for this healing. I pray for, and then God brings you, because I know this, right? That sometimes you pray for something, it don't show up how you thought. It doesn't look like what you thought, but it's your prayers are being answered, but we don't tune into it. And so I think that it's just that prayer and action, and
we have our part. We have to play our part.
you have to play your part.
It doesn't work only alone. You can't go and, eat the world and then say, okay, well, just heal me. That's not how this works.
Yeah, like you've eaten and you're like, oh God, I'm in pain. Please God, take it away. And you like, right?
You cannot pray over that McDonald's and ask the Lord to just turn it into, fishes and loaves. You really do have to change what's on your plate. And that's the beauty of it is it's so easy. Some capsules, some gummies, a tower or two, and you can make a difference. And not just for your physical body, but your emotional body, your psychological body, and even spiritual body. It's a blessing all around.
And before I turn off this recording, because the reason why I brought you in it is because, like I said, people will look at you and they say, oh, well, it's easy for you, or you didn't struggle.
No.
Right. Yeah. And so it's not that. But
rather than pray, God, heal me, I ask God, help me to stay committed to what I know is right. Help me to be righteous on my plate.
Yeah. And I always ask God, show me, guide me. What do I need to
help, Lord? And then he'll provide a salad, I don't just.
Yeah. And I'm like, huh? Like what? Yeah. I've prayed many prayers and it just did not. It came and I'm like, really? Is it, this is, but yeah. So those that are listening, seriously, we're playing no games with y'all.
No games. Oh my gosh. I just commend you for taking it even to this level. We want to save. Just think, and as was said, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your children, do it for your spouse, do it for the rest of your family, do it for those that are around you. Let's really be, that light. Let's be that.
I'm gonna shut this recording now, but I gotta say this one thing, and I want this on the recording, because what I find is that people can be committed to taking their medications, but not committed to getting this produce in their bodies. And I'm just like, because I have people, I forgot I didn't take it. I'm like, but you were on that blood pressure medication. You didn't forget it. You didn't forget this medication, but you won't take this produce every day. And there's so many ways to get it in your body.
And if your body has come to the place where fruits, vegetables, and berries are your enemy, then you've already pretty much lost this battle. Don't let it get there. Don't let it go there. And you said earlier, you're a customer for someone. You're going to be a customer. You're either going to spend money now to be healthy, or you're going to spend money now, later, to get healthy. And so let's just, do the easier part and embrace those fruits, vegetables, and berries now.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be perfect. That's the other thing I want to say. There's a lot of people, I just can't do it. I can't give up this or that. Nobody's saying that. We're saying add in. Add in. right in your hand.
Yeah. You didn't hear us say, stop eating that cake. We didn't say that.
We
We
didn't
didn't say
say
stop
you
drinking.
can't have that rib and that, brontosaurus burger. We didn't say you can't have all that, but what we said was
We just said add more produce.
just
Add
add in
more produce.
Yep.
That's what we said. So I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'm gonna open it up just for any questions that you guys have.
Yeah.
So contact the person that invited you here because the produce we have is special.
Let me tell you.
It's special. So let me turn off the recording and then